Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about all of the books that I have read in October and review them. I'll be doing this from the books that I didn't like to the books that I thought were fantastic. So this October I've read 9 books. The first one I want to share with you is The Great Gatsby. Now everyone says this is a classic, and I really thought I was going to like it after hearing what the story was about, but I have to say that I only gave this 2 stars. So if any of you don't know what the story of The Great Gatsby is about, it is set in the 1920s in New York / Long Island, and it's about a man called Gatsby. It's narrated by his neighbour Nick, and basically Gatsby's fanatic about his neighbour Daisy, and there's a whole backstory to it. It took me a while to get into this book, and I just couldn't get on with it. I did read it all, and I'd say the ending's good, but the first 100 pages of this book I just found hard to read. So sadly, and I know you're all probably going to come at me, it's not a book that I would personally recommend, but you know, give it a go. Tell me what you guys thought of this book. So coming in at number 8 is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Now this is massive on TikTok at the moment, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to like this book. I did. It's not the best book I've ever read, so I would give this book 3 stars. I think the only reason it's so big on TikTok is because of the time of the season, because it's coming up to Halloween and it's called The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's basically a love story. There's a little bit of spice in it. It's, like I said, it's not normally a book that I would read, but yeah, I would say to you guys, if you're into your romance books, this is definitely a book for you. It basically follows a woman that has just moved to Dream Harbour, and she's taken over her aunt's cafe, and she basically falls in love with the grumpy farmer, and it follows their relationship of how they get together, and it's sort of a will they won't they get together. They've both got demons in their past relationships, and they basically, you know, it talks all about that. So yeah, if you're really into romance novels books, I would suggest this one. However, I would say that I do actually want to read the second one, so it is a fairly good book that, yes, I would recommend. Coming in at number 8 is Stephen King's Carrie. If you watch one of my shorts, you'll see that I've already reviewed this. This is the second Stephen King book that I have read, and I'm not a massive fan of the 2 that I've read so far. So again, it took me a while to get into this book. I mean, the start of the book talks about this young girl, Carrie, coming into her menstruation period at school. It is essentially a revenge story where she gets her revenge on everyone in the town, and that part of the story is really good, but it took a long while for it to get to the point. I thought, oh, actually this book's really good. So I was a little bit disappointed. Again, I would give this book 3 stars, and I really want to love Stephen King. So please, if you guys have any recommendations for a Stephen King book that's really good, please send them my way, because I want to try some more books of his, and so far I haven't found one that's actually like, oh wow, it's blown my mind. So yeah, if you guys can, you know, recommend me some, I'd really appreciate it. Put it in the comments below. Coming in at number 6 is If I Can't Have You by Charlotte Levin. Now I picked this book up, I can't remember where I bought it, maybe a charity shop I think it was, because I needed a book that had an apostrophe in the title for my 52-week book challenge, and I wasn't expecting really anything from this book, but it pleasantly surprised me actually. I would say, if ever you see this book, go and pick it up and read it. It's basically about a young girl who works in a private doctor's surgery, and she starts to have a sexual relationship with the doctor. And he's basically doesn't want anyone to know, because she's obviously beneath him, so in the class order. So she eventually, it fizzles out, but she falls madly in love with him, and he's sort of given her little snippets to keep coming back and she's stalking him basically, and it was a really, really good read to go into her background, psychology, to why she could be like this. Yeah, I gave this again 3 stars. So if you're looking for something, you know, quick and easy to read, this is a really good book. Coming in at number 5 is The Lord of the Flies, and by William Golding. I don't actually have this book at the minute because I borrowed it from the library. Now I'm going to be honest with you, when I first decided that I was going to read this book, I thought it was about flies. Spoiler alert, it's not. So it's basically about some young boys that have crash landed onto a deserted island and they have to survive. And Ralph becomes the leader, and you've got Piggy, who is very intelligent but everyone bullies, and I do feel sorry for Piggy. And then you've got Jack, who wants to be leader. So the book took some very dark turns that I didn't actually expect from this book at all, and I've since listened to it on audio and it is such a good book. So for this book I would give it 3.5 stars. I mean, if you want a quick read, and I would say it's a classic now, yeah, go and quickly read Lord of the Flies. Tell me what you thought of it, and again, comment down below. Now, coming in at number 4, some of you guys are going to laugh at me for this, but this book takes me back to my childhood, and you understand probably in next week's video why I actually chose to reread this book, but is R.R. Stein's The Headless Ghost. Now, this is probably one of the first books that I ever read as a child, and again, I'll go into more detail about that next week, but I just thought it quite fit in with Halloween, you know, this month, so I gave that one a go, and I will talk to you more about this book next week. In another video that I'm going to do for you. But yeah, if you got kids, R.L. Stein, I found, for me as a kid, was a fantastic writer. They're quick books. I mean, I read this one in an hour, 2 hours, and for me that's, you know, that's quite good. But even for me, it just brought back memories and of my childhood. So yeah, if you've read any of his books, I would say go and read this one. Now, coming in at number 4 is The Kite Runner, and I'm not even going to pronounce his name because I'm just going to butcher it, so thingy. This book is such an emotional book. It talks about best friends' relationships, father-sons relationships, and the emotion in it is so up and down. I'm not going to spoil the whole book from you, but it's basically, it's set in Afghanistan and sort of set in the United States. And you actually learn, I actually learned a little bit of history about the history of Afghanistan during the 1970s, 80s, so the sort of conflict that was going on that time. But this is probably one of the only books that I have found really emotional. I'm giving this 4 stars just because of the story and the emotion that is in this book. And it's definitely a book that I recommend that everyone should read. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you what the story is about because I don't want to ruin it for you, but yeah, please go and give this book a go. It's The Kite Runner. Coming in at number 2, and I would say this book for me was a 4.5 star because it was better than The Kite Runner. So I needed to give it a bit of a more star. So yeah, I'm going for 4.5 star, and this is Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These. Now this book is only about 84 pages long, but it made me want him more. I need to know what happens when this book, she left it on such a cliffhanger that I need to know what happens in this book. So it's basically, it follows this man in Ireland who is a businessman in the 1980s in Ireland, a coal merchant, and he finds out something that is happening up at his local nuns convent that he doesn't like, and he has to decide whether between his religion, really, I suppose, and upsetting the nuns and the right thing to do. And it's a part of the Irish history that's not really talked about, but Claire Keegan in this book talks about it so well, because it is so hidden. And again, she's left me asking so many questions after how this book ended. So if you're looking for a quick short read, this book is definitely for you. And finally, coming at number 1. Now this book has got to be one of the best books that I have ever read, and that is saying something because I don't say that often about books, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now again, everyone's talking about this book all over BookTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I kept seeing it and I was like, no, actually I have not read a fantasy book in a very long time. I think I sort of went off fantasy for a bit, but this has made me fall back in love with fantasy and has made me want to read more fantasy. So the book is basically about a young girl called Violet, who her mum's the general of a training war college, and she's made her go to this college, and as from the front of the book, it's you graduate or you die, and this takes her through her first year at this war college. It also features a little bit of a romance from enemies to lovers. There's some twists and turns in this book, and the ending of this book's just made me want to read the second one, which at some point I'm going to have to read because the third one comes out next year. But yeah, Fourth Ring is definitely, I would say it's one of the best books I've read this year. Well, it is one of the best books I've read this year. And it's just left me wanting more. So if you are looking for a book to read and you're really into fantasy and you've not read Fourth Wing, seriously, go out now, buy this book, because it's just amazing. If you've got this far in this video, thank you very much for watching. I hope, you know, if you're going to go and read some of these books that I've reviewed. Let me know about what you thought of some of the, if you've read these books, what you guys thought of some of these books. You know, recommend me some books that you want me to read, see how I get on with them. And yeah, thank you for watching. Again, if you've got this far, please like the video, please comment, share, and if you want to see more from me and want to find out why I reread this book, check out next week's video and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.